Beneath the deep layers of the earth, where sunlight rarely reaches, lie the most secret caves on the planet. They are not just geological wonders, but mysterious underground labyrinths where life exists in its own unique way. From colossal caverns like miniature universes to ancient temples hidden deep within the rock, each is a gateway to a world never fully revealed. Tucked away in remote forests or concealed by the passage of time, these caves seem determined to keep their existence hidden from the modern world. Whether buried beneath ice, limestone, or dense jungle, these underground marvels still await their first footsteps. Are you ready to enter a world no one has ever truly seen? Emerald Cave is a unique natural wonder in Thailand, featuring a journey swimming through a tunnel about 262 feet long to reach a hidden beach surrounded by towering limestone cliffs. The cave is accessible only by swimming or kayaking, with the middle section of the tunnel being completely dark, requiring visitors to have flashlights or follow guides. However, accessing the cave requires caution, as tides and currents can change rapidly, posing dangers to inexperienced visitors. Son Dung was discovered as a completely separate world, the largest natural cave on Earth. Stretching about 5 miles with ceilings reaching 660 feet, its vast interior could fit an entire skyscraper and contains a fully grown rainforest. Natural light enters through massive skylights, creating a unique day-night cycle that sustains plants, moss, and rare animals. An underground river runs below, accompanied by ancient stalagmites towering over 230 feet, forming breathtaking landscapes. Visitors must trek through jungle, cross rivers, and camp for days to reach it, making the journey a test of endurance and spirit. Son Dung is not just a geological marvel, it is living proof of a parallel world where nature follows its own untouched rhythm. The descent into Waitomo glowworm caves begins with a damp stone corridor where footsteps echo briefly, then disappear within a few steps. The air changes completely, and each breath feels thick and cold, pressing into the chest even while the body keeps moving. As the ceiling begins to glow, scattered lights emerge from the darkness and move slowly, making the space feel undefined. Visitors are not allowed to use personal lights and must follow the guide's signals coming from a directional lamp. When the guide turns off all light, the group remains still, and in the complete silence, only the living glow above moves in uneven rhythm across the cave ceiling. Urango contains multiple limestone caves embedded in layered sediment rock, each with distinct features in width, height, and mineral structure. Some chambers expand into high domes, where ivory-colored stalactites form from steady dripping over long periods. Several zones remain unlit to preserve moisture levels and prevent chemical changes in exposed mineral surfaces. Outside the cave entrances, a natural hot spring runs through solid rock, forming still water pools permitted for open-air soaking. The route here combines a closed underground setting with an outdoor thermal stream, offering more than just geological observation. Tours follow scheduled paths, with time limits, fixed group sizes, and full supervision throughout the visit. Gaping Gill opens through a vertical hole in flat rock turf, where explorers must descend by pulley anchored into solid stone, with no return if the system fails. Water strikes the chamber floor from a great height, producing a deep, unbroken sound that begins during descent and continues without change. At the bottom, the mist covers the space and dampens all light, making headlamps blur within seconds of contact. The stone floor slopes and stays wet as an underground stream flows below without guide paths, so each step must be placed by feel. Rock walls surround the chamber without offering any sense of direction, and the shifting moisture confuses the eyes and ears. Every movement must pause briefly to recover orientation, because reflected light from droplets hanging on the walls causes dizziness and shifts balance into shadow. Reed Flute Cave starts behind a curved stone passage where the entrance fits only one person, walking low under dim light. Inside, long stalactites hang unevenly from the ceiling, with wet surfaces that cling to the skin after even a slight touch. Artificial lights are built beneath the floor, casting color bands upward that shift constantly but do not reach beyond each cluster. The path moves through tight steps and narrow gaps, where bodies must lean close to avoid stone ridges protruding from the side. High humidity thickens the air, and breathing slows, especially as droplets continue to fall and form slick puddles without warning. In the largest chamber, silence remains unbroken, except for drops striking stone, and the colored light reflects only as scattered shapes across the eye. Yata Grotto contains two separate cave levels, one dry and one submerged, connected by natural hollows formed through layered compression of ancient limestone. The upper level begins with a high dome, where the ground rises gently without dust or moss, and long mineral columns extend from the ceiling at varying depths. Humidity remains constant, but narrow spaces between stone formations emit thin, extended echoes without an identifiable source. At the lower level, the water stays still and clear, with artificial light cutting off quickly, leaving only reflected surfaces. Below the surface, stone walls rise sharply without smoothness or symmetry. Some sections are porous, others dense, all preserved from uninterrupted mineral layering. Inside the chamber, temperature holds steady regardless of depth, but air pressure and heartbeat intensity increase clearly near the central zone. The iron gate opens without light and releases a block of cold wind that pushes against the face strong enough to force the front step to pause. Inside the space holds no lingering echoes, as ice and stone absorb sound, instantly leaving behind compressed and heavy silence. Metal stairs are fixed into frozen rock, with dry surfaces mixed with sharp crystals, requiring a constant grip at every movement. The ice vaults never repeat form. Each turn brings a different ceiling height. Some sections require the body to bend and lean through narrow, frozen gaps. Headlamp beams spread slowly and fail to reach the top or bottom, keeping the floor and ceiling hidden from view. One deeper zone contains compressed ice that emits a low, continuous vibration, only sensed when the whole body remains still for several seconds. Hidden beneath limestone ranges dating back to the Cambrian period, Jenolan is not merely a cave, but an underground maze with hundreds of forks seemingly designed to mislead. Some routes appear continuous, but soon loop explorers back to their starting point without leaving a trace. In the river chamber, rock formations shift into metallic blue under dim light, a phenomenon unexplained by conventional mineral reactions. Near a sharp turn, a stone face bears long gouges embedded deep into the wall, at a height beyond reach of any native animal. Although Jenolan has welcomed visitors since the 19th century, untouched sections still preserve mysteries formed over hundreds of millions of years. Seven Star Cave is hidden behind limestone layers of a large mountain, and its original entrance was covered by vegetation and natural rock formations, so it was not easily visible from the surface. Inside the cave, a series of connected chambers have arched ceilings and many twisted stalactite structures that hang downward. Some sections show echo reflections that split into multiple sound layers when loud noises occur. The ecosystem includes white eyeless fish, small spiders on the cave ceiling, and thread-like bacteria that grow in moist rock cracks. Light air movement appears in deeper zones, but does not change the stable humidity and temperature levels that remain all year. In 1994, a geology team discovered a chamber with fossilized animal bones buried in limestone sediment, adding valuable archaeological evidence in this location. Purple Cathedral Cave lies inside a coastal limestone belt with its entrance hidden by vegetation and only visible when the tide is low. Inside is a large dome-shaped chamber with high ceilings, and the rock walls are covered in natural purple minerals that reflect soft light when dim light enters. Stalactites and stalagmites grow along the chamber edges, with uneven spiral textures and shiny surfaces caused by fine crystal buildup. The ecosystem includes land crabs, small mollusks, and native bats living near the ceiling, all adapted to light conditions that change with the water level. Some areas show reverse echo effects, where sounds made ahead return from behind the person. In 2004, a geological team announced the discovery of continuous purple mineral layers on the rock walls, which led to the cave being named Purple Cathedral. The deep section of Mammoth Cave has no railings and a slight slope that shifts each step toward the edge, requiring force to stay upright. A narrow section forces the body to turn sideways and slide through with the rock scraping along the sleeve. Darkness is not thick, but light keeps getting absorbed in bursts, making the eyes refocus constantly and the heart rate rise. One part of the ceiling drops low enough to force a crawl, with the chest nearly touching the floor and each breath echoing directly ahead. After standing up, orientation is lost briefly as both forward and backward directions blur from scattered light. Inexperienced hikers often cannot continue past this point due to dizziness, knee fatigue, and the sensation of being pulled backward while moving forward. Hidden deep within the frozen flow of Mendenhall Glacier, the ice caves glow with natural light, creating a scene that feels otherworldly. Mendenhall ice caves form beneath a 13-mile-long glacier where sunlight filters through thick ice and bathes the space in mysterious blue hues. The cave's interior constantly shifts due to melting and ice movement, making every visit a unique adventure. To reach the entrance, visitors must hike forest trails, cross slippery ice, and squeeze through narrow gaps. Once inside, all sound seems absorbed by the ice, leaving only the echo of dripping water in the frozen silence. This fragile beauty is fading with climate change, turning Mendenhall into a living testament of nature's impermanence. And cave is located in the primary forest region of Phong Nha, Cabang National Park, with its entrance hidden by steep cliffs and dense jungle, making it nearly isolated from the outside world. The interior includes 3 large openings, massive chambers, and a clear stream that flows across sandy ground. The cave's ecosystem is active, with hundreds of thousands of swallows nesting along high rock walls, and bats, insects, and small fish adapted to low light. A notable feature is the acoustic effect created by flocks of swallows flying together, producing sound waves that carry far within the cave. Sediment layers inside have revealed ancient human traces, including stone tools and animal bones. Lascaux Cave is hidden beneath a limestone hillside in southwestern France and was discovered in 1940 when a group of teenagers stumbled upon its entrance, concealed by soil and vegetation. The interior contains underground corridors leading to large chambers where prehistoric paintings are preserved on ceilings and walls. The artwork features animals such as bison, deer, and horses drawn with black, red, and yellow pigments made from natural minerals, showing advanced observation and technique. No active ecosystem exists inside, but the stable humidity and air conditions have preserved the paintings for thousands of years. A notable issue emerged in the late 20th century, when rising visitor numbers caused mold and bacteria to grow on the cave surfaces despite stable temperatures. Lascaux is unique as one of the most complete and direct records of symbolic thinking from the Paleolithic era and is now fully closed to protect its contents. Cango Caves lie beneath the limestone zone of the Swartberg Range in southern South Africa, with its entrance hidden by ancient rock layers and semi-arid vegetation, first discovered in the 18th century by a local farmer. Inside is a series of massive chambers connected by arched corridors, with walls covered in stalactites and stalagmites shaped over millions of years. Some halls, such as Van Zil's Hall, stretch dozens of feet and have rock structures that create strong, natural acoustics. There is limited animal life, but fossil remains of zebras and antelopes have been found near the cave mouth from ancient times. A puzzling feature is the soft glow seen on certain formations under dim light, though they contain no typical luminescent minerals. Cango is notable for its refined rock structures and ever-expanding mapped sections, and was once used for small concerts in the 20th century to test its natural sound properties. Batu Caves is Malaysia's most iconic spiritual cave complex, blending majestic nature with ancient faith. The first striking feature is the 140-foot golden statue of Lord Marugan, standing before a staircase of 222 vividly colored steps. Inside, a high vaulted ceiling allows sunlight to stream through, illuminating Hindu shrines amid drifting incense in a silent space. Every year, the Thaipusam festival draws hundreds of thousands of pilgrims, performing intense rituals symbolizing purification. Surrounding chambers contain fossils, archaeological remains, and tropical cave-dwelling species like bats and insects. Batu Caves is not just a tourist site, it is a living intersection of wild nature, spiritual history, and vibrant religious practice. Ajanta caves are carved directly into a curved rock face containing over 30 connected chambers, each with its own shrine, corridor, and sculpted figures. Many murals remain intact, illustrating ancient stories with natural pigments still visible after more than 2,000 years. The vaulted stone ceilings echo every footstep clearly when entering the central areas. Some carvings show overlapping marks, suggesting changes in purpose or later modifications by different groups. People standing at the main shrine have described the space as pulling sound inward and drawing focus toward the central figure. Kungur Ice Cave lies beneath a limestone plateau where cold air stays trapped in deep chambers, allowing ice to form and remain throughout the year. Inside the cave, dozens of stone rooms are connected by narrow passages, and some areas contain upright ice towers and clear-surfaced ice columns without cracks. Thick ice layers beneath the rocky floor have remained unchanged since their formation, regardless of outside weather patterns. In certain sections, water droplets appear on stone walls without any visible temperature shift, leading to theories about spontaneous micro-airflows. The cave is known for having both dry limestone features and stable ice formations inside a naturally enclosed environment. In 1914, a geological team discovered large ice crystals that had never shown signs of melting, prompting studies on underground thermal regulation systems. Kango Caves is one of the oldest and most magnificent limestone caves in South Africa, formed about 20 million years ago in rock that is 750 million years old. The cave stretches over 3 miles, but only about 1/4 is open to visitors because of danger and difficult terrain. The air inside the cave stays at a stable temperature of about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, making it cool and comfortable for explorers. Kango Caves is not only a geological treasure, but also a true adventure test for anyone who wants to explore it. The Tonga Tapu cave system in Tonga stands out with its pristine beauty, formed over thousands of years through limestone erosion and deposits. Inside the cave is a natural freshwater pool, about 10 feet deep, with water so clear you can see the bottom. Strange-shaped stalactites and stalagmites hang from the ceiling and rise from the floor, creating a mythical scenery. Certain caves are home to snakes and bats, which can surprise and endanger inexperienced visitors. Sudwala Caves is one of the oldest known caves on Earth, over 240 million years old, with rock domes about 100 feet high. Inside the cave, the temperature stays steady at around 61 degrees F all year, home to many bats, rare insects, and ancient bacteria living in crystal minerals. Sudwala Caves is not only a geological wonder, but a gateway to a primeval world where time, life, and mystery blend into the eternal darkness beneath the earth. At the edge of Hrani's abyss, the limestone ground shows thin cracks stretching in many directions, and at the exact opening, the space below vanishes from view. Anyone approaching must clip a waist harness to anchor points because there are no barriers, and a slip leads straight to a vertical drop. The air near the abyss carries a strong scent of water mixed with cold and metallic notes, and wind rising from below gives a slight downward pull. During descent by rope, natural light only reaches a few dozen feet before the surroundings turn into a dark green void with no reflection. The walls tilt unpredictably, forcing the body to rotate with the angled rock segments, so the descent never follows a straight line. At the deep water level, all sound bounces back from the liquid surface and electronic signals begin to fail, disrupting communication between diver and rope crew. The entrance to Cueva del Soplao leads to a gently sloping, natural corridor where artificial light fades within a few feet as the walls do not reflect. Travelers walk on a damp, smooth stone floor that dips slightly in places, making each foot feel uneven while stepping. Farther inside, the ceiling lowers without warning, then expands again, creating pressure shifts in the ears, even though elevation stays the same. Numerous stalagmites and flowstone columns press close to the path, forcing the body to turn or narrow its position to avoid contact from both sides. In one section, the space becomes fully silent, with no echo from breathing and no sound from footsteps, though movement continues. Before reaching the deeper area, the guide instructs the group to switch on headlamps and clip into support lines because the upcoming stone slope offers no visual grip points. Thamlord begins with an underground stream that cuts through the mountain, where travelers move by bamboo raft under handheld torchlight. As the raft passes the first section, the uneven ceiling reveals shadows that shift constantly with the flicker of firelight. Standing on the raft feels unstable because the water moves under layered stone, causing the surface to tremble without warning. One part of the path turns into a narrow wooden bridge where each step must land precisely or balance is lost. In the deepest area, the air thickens, the lights fade, and surrounding sounds vanish, leaving only the sound of footsteps echoing steadily in the closed space. The air at the entrance of Clearwater Cave carries the scent of deep rock water, and within a few steps the lower pant legs absorb cold from the damp ground. As the artificial light begins to fade, A corridor appears ahead, where the stone path tilts in two directions, forcing short zigzag movements. Some spots sink into shallow pits, and stepping off balance sends the lower body tilting toward the open wall. Cold air rushes upward from the dark below, but not in steady flow, instead in light bursts that shake the headlamp even without movement. At the rock layer, closest to the underground stream, the floor turns slick, and all sounds from above vanish, replaced by water echoing against low stone. The final space has no dry area to pause, so each step must hold still a moment longer to avoid slipping off the unseen rock edge. Crystal Cave reveals itself after a wooden staircase clings to the rock wall, where the temperature drops quickly and the stone surface turns damp by the third level. Inside the main chamber, a flat body of water stretches beneath and forces movement across a narrow floating path with no rail and only a few inches above the clear surface. Below the walkway, limestone pillars rise from the bottom, fully visible, without direct light, making it hard to judge actual depth. The air holds heavy moisture, dimming headlamps and thickening each breath, so travelers must inhale slowly to stay steady. The ceiling above shifts height constantly, at points coming so low that the body must lower and backpacks must not block movement. At the deepest section, sounds scatter water, drops fall into closed pools without echo, and balance becomes the only guide as visibility narrows. Marble Caves appears after a small boat moves through clear water, where sunlight reaches the bottom and reflects across curved marble surfaces. As the boat nears the cave entrance, water currents shift unpredictably, and light waves hit the rock walls, producing layered echoes. The operator must steer through tight gaps some just above water level, requiring passengers to bend down to avoid contact with reversed stone ridges. Cave air holds heavy moisture with a clear mineral scent rising from the water and clinging to skin like a thin mist. Some inner pockets open without warning, lacking visible bottom, and the water shifts from blue to black, causing momentary disorientation. On the way out, silence is required, since any sudden motion creates backwave impact that can shift the boat dangerously close to solid marble walls. Blue Grotto can only be reached when the sea is calm, and visitors must lie flat in a low boat to pass through an entrance just 3 feet high. Once inside, the space shifts suddenly as blue light rises from the water below, turning all edges in the cave into soft shapes without clear outlines. Passengers cannot control the boat and must rely entirely on the guide, whose gentle paddles send echoes bouncing from one wall to another. The air inside is warmer than outside, but very humid, and each breath pushes back toward the throat, while voices stretch and warp slightly. On the way out, everyone must remain lying flat and avoid raising the head, because even a few inches can cause contact with unseen rock above. Morsmai Cave begins with an entrance just wide enough for one person, then quickly narrows into sections with low ceilings that force movement by crouching and bending. Each step must be tested because the floor is uneven, with eroded pits requiring balanced pressure to avoid sliding sideways. The installed artificial lights are dim and cover only 2 steps ahead, while the winding paths prevent sight of anyone in front. In one spot, the ceiling splits into 2 layers close together, and forces travelers to crawl through a chest-high gap where any hard item may get stuck. Moisture does not drip, but spreads in thin layers across the stone surface and sticks to limbs like glue, slowing down motion over time. At the end, the space suddenly expands to nearly 3 stories high, yet voices still fall downward, without echo reaching back to the speaker. Lechuguilla Cave begins with a dry, narrow path with breathable air, but within the first few hundred feet, the space twists into complete darkness, where artificial light barely reaches beyond a few steps. Travelers must wear full harnesses, gloves, and helmets, since some sections can only be crossed by crawling sideways through tight stone tubes between slick, sloped walls. The ceiling gradually lowers in segments and at one point presses so close to the ground that the group must crawl non-stop for nearly 10 minutes without changing position. Sound in the cave does not echo, but sinks into the stone, so breathing footsteps and falling rocks vanish right after they're made. Certain zones have brittle stone plates that crack under pressure, forcing weight to be spread across multiple contact points to avoid falling through. When approaching the deepest chamber, all lights must be dimmed because thin hanging crystals react sharply to heat, sound, and even the smallest ground vibration. Sarma Cave begins with a narrow entrance that fits only one person, descending by rope, then shifts into steep slides with cold air blowing upward, causing hands to tremble from the start. Initial light reaches part of the wall, but quickly disappears into layered stone passages, dropping hundreds of feet with no resting ledges in between. The following sections have uneven floors, some coated in thin clay, making footing unexpectedly slick, so both hands must grip natural ridges tightly. Certain open chambers seem to cancel all echo, leaving no sense of distance and disrupting orientation by sound. At greater depths, small water flows appear across the rock floor, and the air temperature drops enough to cause constant condensation on metal gear. At a junction of 3 paths, explorers must rely on mapped routes and signal checks because each turn leads to an area with no return access if chosen incorrectly. Pindaya caves open from a corridor in the cliff where natural light fades and the space turns pale gold from thousands of Buddha statues placed deep in uneven alcoves. Visitors move through narrow passages on uneven stone steps, often turning one shoulder to pass walls that press close. Some statues sit just inches from the path, so every motion must be measured to avoid contact with carved altars worn over time. Moisture from the floor and incense smoke occasionally interrupt breathing, especially at lower resting spots with no air circulation. In a deeper section, the space absorbs all sound and footsteps or voices drop into the dense rock without returning. To exit the same path must be used, but direction can only be judged by the glow intensity of nearby statues since the cave walls appear nearly identical. Beneath the hardened surface of the plateau, Lava River Cave begins with a black, cold opening that immediately removes all visibility, even with lights on. The ground is fractured into ancient lava breaks, and movement requires lowering the body and stepping backward with precision to avoid sharp edges. The air has no scent, yet begins to burn the throat after only a few minutes, forcing a slower pace to keep breathing steady. Certain segments narrow from both sides, and the ceiling presses down, forcing a crawl where knees move joint by joint and arms cannot lift freely. Some floor spots emit a low vibration when stepped on, and no one stays there long because the depth beneath is uncertain. At the deepest point, the flashlight beam stops showing any surface as the rock absorbs every particle of light, leaving behind a silent dark that reflects nothing. Cueva de las Manos is not a place to study rock formations, but a space where a group once stood, pressed their hands to stone, and sprayed pigment through hollow bones. The prints are mostly left hands in red-black or white layered over each other, as if trying to break free from the rock surface. Between the hands are simple line drawings of hunters, animals, and chase scenes spread without any set pattern. Natural light enters from the front of the cave, striking the painted wall and bringing out faded details in the earth-toned stone. The space is still and narrow, with a hard, dusty floor marked by old footprints that suggest someone once sat here, painted, and left without returning. Visitors follow a single-direction path, staying at a distance from the art to protect the untouched surface left behind thousands of years ago. Amarnath Cave appears after a climb along a snowy ridge where the trail fits only one person, and each step must hold balance in cold wind. Inside the rock, light fades into shadow and the floor hardens while moisture gathers into a fine mist around the feet. Deeper into the space, a vertical ice formation rises from the ground, built entirely from water dripping in seasonal cycles. The air thickens, and the surrounding space stops producing echo, while the temperature drops enough to dampen even dry fabric. Pilgrims pause in small groups, as the chamber holds only a few at a time, and the entire moment unfolds in complete silence. On the return, few people speak, since daylight glints across wet stone and reveals the ice behind them once more through drifting fog. Boatman's Gut Cave begins with a vertical waterhole set in cracked rock, without barriers or reference marks, just a deep black space that reflects nothing. Divers carry all equipment from the surface and descend directly in an environment with no handholds and fully cold, smooth walls. Below the surface, the flashlight beam fades after a few feet, and the surrounding space thickens while the body senses direction only through tightening pressure. At several dozen feet, each breath must be divided carefully because any mistake causes chest spasms and immediate tension in the ears. The next meters remain silent, with no feedback from gear, only rising air bubbles that move too slowly for the eye to follow. At the deepest point, there is no floor, no surrounding edge, and the body drifts freely inside a dark volume with no end point. There is no sign or marker for stopature, only a damp stone path hidden beneath rotting leaves, leading down to darkness beneath the mountain. The air inside is dense and heavy, pushing each breath back toward the throat. From the rock wall extend moss-covered steps leading to still pools that show no reflection and do not shift under artificial light. All sound disappears quickly, even the drip of water from the stone ceiling leaves no echo. A section in the middle receives natural light, revealing deep cuts in the rock, with no clear source, whether water or something once moving through. There are no signs inside and no explanation for how the chambers fold into each other before fading into complete silence. Sarawak Chamber does not begin with a clear cave mouth, but with a long fracture between layered limestone, faded by age, where rainwater has formed a thin slick of mud beneath each step. Upon entering the slope, sharpens quickly, the space tightens for a few minutes before breaking open into a chamber so wide that artificial lights lose all reach. The stone walls vanish from sight, the ceiling cannot be measured, and the ground beneath is not flat, but gently warped by long pressure. The air inside is dry and thin. Deep breaths bring tightness in the stomach, and the heartbeat presses directly into the ears. Deep inside, the light disappears completely. Orientation fails, and direction vanishes, though the body still continues to walk forward. The entrance to Sistema Oxbel Ha lies beneath a clear pool surrounded by long roots descending from the forest above, with no rock or marking to indicate the start of the region's largest underground cave network. Divers must control their breathing before touching the surface because the current below shifts unpredictably and the temperature changes with each passage. Inside the system, tunnels branch in all directions, stretching so far that compasses lose orientation without underwater signal support. The pale rock walls are eroded into long horizontal grooves with smooth surfaces that stay cold to the touch and resist any moss growth. Large chambers appear without warning, with no visible floor, no external sound, and only the diver's breath echoing close inside the mask. Pettyjohn Cave begins with a narrow opening on a slope of red soil, just wide enough for one person to crouch through with no signpost and no warning of the depth hidden behind the stone. As soon as you enter the rock floor, drops quickly into a pitch-dark stretch where light no longer clings to surfaces and disappears after only a few steps. Inside is a network of dry stone corridors, some wide enough to stand upright, while others allow only a body to slide through between close, sharp walls. Patches of dry mud underfoot still hold old boot prints, showing that the air lacks enough moisture to soften earth even after several weeks. A few cold pools remain in rock basins with no flow, their surfaces unmoved by sound or light. Several explorers report that the deeper they move, the quieter their devices become, until no external signal can be received at all. The entrance to Gruta do Lago Azul sits behind a vertical rock wall covered in moss with no defined path, only roots descending from the upper ledge into damp ground. Beyond the outer light, the cave interior drops steeply over fractured stone, with no flat surface for pause or view. stone around the lake shows vertical breaks with clean surfaces lacking moss or cover and lined with old cracks pulled from within. All other paths end at vertical walls with no passage forward, leaving the body and focus directed entirely toward the water. Narakorte caves lie beneath a limestone region once submerged by ancient seas, where mineral movement across layers sealed ground fractures and formed a cave structure embedded in geological strata. The descending path leads into low rock chambers, where space narrows in vertical layers, and each zone holds distinct moisture levels depending on proximity to underground water. The floor is made of compact, dark stone dust that compresses underfoot without echoing beyond the immediate step. The air is cold and silent, holding constant pressure throughout, despite movement between different depths. Certain sections contain old compressed soil, where fossil remains have been discovered intact near the rock layer without the need for deep removal. The white limestone in order does not reflect motion but absorbs light slowly into a fixed glow suspended inside the water. As a diver passes through the junction of two branches, the surface remains still, even after the body has shifted direction. The interior gives no sense of vertical or horizontal, as ceiling and floor share the same color and texture, making them visually inseparable. Some zones hold isolated cold pockets where one hand goes numb, while the other still responds to touch. Certain rock curves bend inward without pattern, without following water flow, as if pushed outward from within. Turning past tight corners, the handlight distorts and narrows its beam against the wall with no return glow, as if the water splits the light permanently. Yungang does not follow the form of natural caves, but opens through human-carved stone blocks where ancient chisel marks still send slight vibrations when touched. Light does not disappear at the entrance, but shifts constantly as it passes through hundreds of stone figures, casting bands of shadow across the floor. Each chamber is sealed with dense detail, the walls covered in deep carvings where heads, hands, robes, and floral lines are part of the living rock. Approaching larger statues, footsteps echo in multiple directions, bent by uneven voids inside the structure. Lower areas collect layers of stone dust, settled into carved patterns, and touching them reveals a softness in the stone with no trace of dampness. Though entirely silent, the air still shifts slowly between chambers, with pressure changes just strong enough to move a hanging robe edge near the entrance. The first step into Carlsbad does not bring darkness, but tilts the body left, as the floor curves in a way the eyes cannot detect. The flashlight beam finds no wall ahead, yet bends into faint bands along the sides as if hitting thickened air. Deeper inside, each footstep turns from 3 angles out of sync, making every echo feel like something has just landed behind. A sudden ridge rises underfoot, smooth but not wet, the stone, not cold yet, warming the palm strangely upon touch. Above the stalactites lean gradually in one direction, as if the ceiling itself has been shifting for years without notice. When turning back, the cave entrance is no longer visible, and every sound from behind stops at once without a trace. The Sac Actun cave system in Mexico is a submerged maze that connects hundreds of limestone passages beneath the Yucatan Peninsula. Many sections of the system lie entirely underwater, and access requires specialized diving equipment. Some inner areas show sudden shifts in underwater currents, despite the absence of slopes or clear obstructions. In one surveyed chamber, scientists found prehistoric human bones deep under sediment, in a place completely absent of light. Certain water zones change color under specific lighting conditions, creating strange optical effects across cave domes. Although over 300 kilometers have been mapped, Sac Actun still contains branches with no confirmed end, and erratic compass readings have been recorded in sealed chambers. Deep within the limestone of Gibraltar's mountains, St. Michael's Cave was once thought to be ordinary, until undocumented auxiliary chambers were discovered in the mid-20th century. A narrow passage behind a sealed rock wall led to a series of natural halls with perfectly mirrored arches where artificial light scatters in spirals instead of radiating evenly. Surveyors found strange crystals clinging to the walls, reflecting violet hues from changing angles not seen in any other local cave. In 1974, the cave's entire speaker system experienced unexplained interference lasting several minutes with no external or technical cause. To this day, the extended upper galleries of St. Michael's remain only partially explored due to their fragmented layout and unstable stone floor. Naya caves are located deep in the Sarawak rainforest and were once inhabited over 30,000 years ago, yet their interior shows geological patterns that remain unexplained. Near the main entrance, the stone floor is fractured in a radial pattern from a central point without any signs of external impact. Beneath this layer lies a completely dry chamber where a constant dripping sound is heard, despite the absence of moisture or flowing water. During an archaeological excavation, long, claw-like gouges were found in the red soil nearly 2 feet deep, matching no known tool or animal. Certain parts of the cave display spontaneous light effects, where orange hues reflect off walls even without direct lighting. In 1958, a local man's body was found seated upright, preserved without decay and unaffected by the surrounding damp conditions. Barton Creek Cave lies inside a limestone zone covered by forest, with an entrance as a narrow gap beside a cliff that is only reachable by water leading into the cave. The cave interior has a long, flooded passage stretching hundreds of feet, with a low ceiling and hanging stalactites close to the water surface, allowing movement only by small canoe. Rock ledges on both sides contain offering items and human remains from the Maya civilization, and some bone and ceramic pieces remain in their original locations. The ecosystem includes catfish, insect-eating bats, and water spiders that stay near the rock edges in areas without natural light. In the early 20th century, archaeologists recorded over 10 human skeletons and many ritual objects, identifying Barton Creek as one of the major underground ceremonial sites of the ancient Maya. Fisher Ridge Cave lies beneath thick limestone in a wooded hill region of eastern United States, and its first entrance appeared after a small collapse revealed a narrow crack into the ground. Inside, layered underground passages mix wide stone chambers with low arched corridors, creating constant changes in space as people move through. The ecosystem includes eyeless fish, transparent crustaceans, and microbes that survive along weak water flows, all in total darkness. Some deep zones have air moving in steady cycles without surface openings, causing pressure shifts that the ears can clearly detect. Its mapped length has passed 130 miles, though full connection is still limited by divided terrain. In 1985, an independent group began mapping by hand and basic gear, slowly uncovering a deep, multi-level system never documented in the region before. A water channel opens within the rainforest without any sign of what lies beyond, and this marks the start of Acton Tunichil Muknal, a submerged cave system that leads into sealed rock layers, untouched by time. Inside the cave, water-filled corridors extend to dry chambers, where the floor appears unnaturally flat, with no signs of erosion. One central area contains a fully intact, ancient human skeleton, covered in crystallized minerals, that give its surface a glass-like appearance. Some stone blocks in other parts produce percussive tones when tapped lightly, even though the surrounding material is inconsistent. In 2006, climate sensors placed inside a narrow chamber recorded a sudden spike in humidity that lasted less than a minute without any detectable air movement. Access remains limited in several branches due to unstable floors and the absence of emergency support infrastructure. As the boat nears the limestone cliff on the Mekong River, Tam Ting does not reveal its full form and appears only as a narrow shadow along the waterline with no land access available. Inside the cave, the ceiling lowers gradually, and natural light fades quickly due to overlapping rock formations. A 2004 survey recorded prolonged signal disruption while using navigation equipment in a side chamber, even though external readings remained stable. A complete internal survey has not been completed, as some passageways cannot be located through distance measurement tools or reflected light. Postojna Cave lies deep within a limestone mountain area in southwestern Slovenia, where the entrance leads into an underground network stretching across multiple rock layers. The interior is divided into large chambers, tall domes, and connecting passageways, where stalactites and stalagmites have grown in irregular and multi-directional formations. An isolated ecosystem exists inside the cave, most notably featuring the OLEM, a blind aquatic species adapted entirely to darkness and capable of surviving more than 10 years without food. An unexplained phenomenon occurs in certain unventilated sections, where cold air flows suddenly appear and shift direction without a clear source. What makes this site unusual is the existence of an underground electric railway nearly 2 miles long that has transported visitors deep into the cave since the early 20th century. In 1818, while preparing for a visit by the Austrian emperor, a worker accidentally discovered previously unknown cave branches, beginning a long period of exploration lasting through generations. Ape caves are located on the southern flank of Mount St. Helens and were formed by a basalt lava flow that created a continuous lava tube over 2 miles long. The cave entrance is hidden beneath volcanic ash layers and dense forest, and it remained unknown until a group of scouts discovered it in 1947. There is little large life inside, but the moist conditions have allowed mold patches to grow along the black rock walls. A strange acoustic effect occurs midway through the cave, where echoes bounce back unpredictably, causing disorientation in darkness. Ape caves are notable for preserving one of the oldest intact lava tubes in the Cascade Range, and are among the few of this type open for public self-guided exploration. The Scotian Caves lie within a limestone mountain region in southwestern Slovenia, featuring an underground river that carves deep gorges and natural stone bridges. The entire system includes multiple levels and vaulted chambers, with the Martel chamber being one of the largest known underground cavities. The Reka River disappears underground upon entering the cave, creating a long stretch of vanished flow with no surface outlet for miles. The cave supports a rare ecosystem, including blind shrimp, limestone beetles, and small cave-adapted bats. A puzzling phenomenon involves thin limestone strands hanging in mid-air, appearing to stretch rather than fall due to gravity. Skokjan is notable for its combination of underground river terrain, massive cavern voids, and uniquely open corridors, and was used by 19th century explorers to test humidity instruments and echo responses in natural space. Hidden behind steep cliffs and only reachable by hiking through forest or climbing rugged paths, Phra Nakhon Cave is one of Thailand's most sacred and mysterious caves. Its most striking feature is a collapsed roof that lets sunlight stream in during morning hours, illuminating a golden pavilion standing in the heart of the cave. This structure was built in the 19th century to honor a Thai king and has since become a royal symbol within nature. When the light hits at just the right moment, the entire pavilion appears to glow, creating a surreal scene visitors say cannot be repeated. Around it, wild plants grow from the stone and moss-covered limestone walls, blending wilderness with cultural depth. Phra Nakhon is not just a place where nature and architecture meet. It is a rare symbol of stillness in a moving world. Hidden beneath New Zealand's limestone landscape, Ruakuri Cave opens like a mysterious maze, blending natural wonders and modern exploration. The cave features the world's only spiral entrance ramp, guiding visitors gently into the depths through subtly lit rock layers. Inside, ancient stalactites and a quiet underground river create constant echoes as if the earth itself is whispering. Uniquely, Ruakuri allows close-up viewing of glowworms, turning the cave ceiling into a living starry sky. Once sacred to the Maori people, the site still preserves its cultural and spiritual significance through careful protection. Ruakuri is a rare blend of wilderness, bioluminescence, cultural depth, and sustainable exploration. Devatashka Cave sits exposed in a cliffside where large holes in the ceiling let sunlight directly reach the floor, illuminating rocks and moss along a narrow stream. The interior spans nearly 800 feet in length, with a ceiling over 300 feet high, creating a vast open space where even small sounds echo widely. Soil layers inside still hold traces of prehistoric life, including ash pottery and stone tools showing the cave once served as shelter. Bats and cliff-dwelling birds now occupy upper crevices, fully adapted to dim light and undisturbed surroundings. During the 20th century, the cave was used for military storage, leaving man-made features among its natural stone surfaces. A fixed walking path allows visitors to move safely through the site, while observing the blend of natural formation, ancient use, and more recent history. Lagoa Misteriosa has no stairs or ledge, but a still surface of water covering a sinkhole hundreds of feet deep. The diver enters with gear, and light remains visible near the top, but fades quickly after a few breaths. As the body drops further, arms and legs begin losing push strength, so each movement must slow down to keep direction under control. During ascent, if the head is not aligned with the original path, the surface light disappears and the space turns dense, leaving only body signals to follow. Prometheus Cave extends beneath the limestone of Tiscautubo, with uneven rock formations and ceilings that shift in both height and orientation. In a deeper section, light entering the chamber changes direction based on position, with no influence from equipment. Several rock surfaces display mineral patches that form in separate zones without any continuous flow pattern. A sealing chamber emits no return sound regardless of volume, producing an area with complete acoustic interruption. The full cave map remains incomplete because some previously recorded passages no longer appear in later surveys. The exterior of Fingal's cave is lined with vertical stone columns, but its interior disrupts that order with overlapping spaces lacking any symmetry. After a short entry, sound begins to shift, and footsteps lose clarity until they stop being heard completely over a level floor segment. At that point, the ceiling drops abruptly, and daylight no longer travels in straight paths, scattering into fragmented reflections. Column surfaces turn dull gray in isolated patches, and fine cracks appear in places unrelated to the surrounding stone grain. Near the waterline, a mist pulse was once recorded moving intermittently, but sensors detected no change in external conditions. All distance measurements required multiple attempts due to unstable error margins, even when environmental factors remained constant. Diros Caves open beneath the Mani Peninsula with a mostly submerged network, where narrow channels allow small boats to pass in complete silence. Several walls just above water level do not reflect light, producing fixed, dark zones, regardless of beam direction. In one deep chamber, the ceiling stone contains evenly spaced arc-shaped grooves, unrelated to water movement or human equipment. Some still water basins remain undisturbed, even when movement occurs nearby, and imaging devices detect no change in reflection. Crystals along the ceiling appear nearly transparent and only become visible at an angle, disappearing entirely under direct light. The cave system's full length remains unknown due to side channels that suddenly narrow or vanish into the rock. New Athos Cave lies deep within a limestone mountain, with an entrance formed by a narrow crack hidden from the outer trail unless accessed through dense forest. Inside, the cave contains multi-level sections with vertical shafts, wide corridors, and 7 massive chambers, including one large enough to hold thousands of people. The ceiling is covered with broad calcite stalactite bands, while the floor features circular mineral platforms coated with white salt deposits. Some rock pockets maintain stable humidity all year and support the growth of rare fungi, mineral-loving microbes, and isolated small crustaceans. An unexplained phenomenon occurs where strong cold air currents appear at the intersections between chambers without any surface airflow connections. Survey teams discovered unexplored passages leading deeper underground. Survey teams discovered unexplored passages leading deeper underground, including an underwater zone that interferes with sonar and remains unmapped. Cueva de los Verdes rests beneath the volcanic surface of Lanzarote, opening into a space where natural light never reaches. The cave was shaped by ancient lava flows that carved winding corridors, massive domes, and walls marked by heat and time. Long ago, people entered this underground world to escape attacks from the sea, leaving behind whispers and fear absorbed by stone. Today, soft artificial lights reveal just enough to expose the raw, cold, and untouched texture of every surface. In one deep chamber, sound reverberates so clearly that even a single footstep sends a quiet ripple through the dark. Cueva de los Verdes does not speak through stories, but through the feeling it leaves inside those who descend into its silence. Melisani Cave has an open roof structure formed by a collapsed ceiling, allowing sunlight to shine directly onto a blue lake in the center. The lake is about 100 feet deep, and its surface turns a vivid turquoise at midday when sunlight hits vertically. Dark stone around the lake highlights the water's color and creates a clear sense of depth. Surveys show the lake is fed by an underground system mixing seawater and fresh water flowing through limestone layers. Small fish and suspended microorganisms gather near the surface, where oxygen levels remain stable. At times, people on boats have described the space as completely silent, even when others are present. Ellora was carved by human hands centuries ago, each strike carried out with devotion and silent conviction. Inside a solid basalt formation, the Kailasa temple emerged through the careful removal of stone layers, leaving behind a structure that stands fully intact. The inner space contains hundreds of stone columns, deep corridors, divine statues, and reliefs that still hold sharp detail after thousands of years. Daylight enters through narrow gaps, casting shadows on carved surfaces and revealing fixed movements drawn from myth and belief. Though rituals no longer take place here, Ellora continues to receive visitors who enter with natural reverence. In this place, stone holds memory, effort, and the presence of something that remains beyond words. Fantasy Cave is hidden beneath coastal limestone, with an iron staircase wrapping down the rock wall to reach the chamber over 100 feet below. Inside, long stalactites hang from the ceiling, some stretching over 30 feet, showing signs of active growth. At the bottom lies a still pool of water, clear enough that light from above reaches the bottom without scattering. The water remains at a steady level due to its underground connection, despite having no visible current. The walls and ceiling reflect light in shifting patterns, causing moving figures to alter the brightness throughout the space. Some areas near the pool have briefly disrupted humidity and pressure sensors without any clear cause. Phang Bay Caves is a stunning limestone cave system shaped over millions of years by tides, sea waves, and acid rain. The caves are found among tall limestone cliffs rising from the sea, forming an impressive natural maze. Some caves have ceilings up to 100 feet high, with hanging stalactites and walls carved by time. Exploration is usually done by kayak, passing through narrow paths barely wide enough for one person. Some branches of the cave remain uncharted due to constantly changing tides. Chandelier Cave is a special underwater cave where crystal-like stalactites hang beneath the surface, making it look like a palace under the sea. The cave has many connected chambers, and some have natural air pockets where divers can rise up and breathe during the journey. This place is not only for nature lovers, but also a sacred symbol of peace, inner light, and the creative power of nature through time. Cathedral Cove is one of the most impressive natural wonders in New Zealand, known for a giant limestone arch about 82 feet tall, carved by waves and wind over millions of years. It features white sand, turquoise water, and tall cliffs that make visitors feel like they are stepping into another world. In the morning or late afternoon, sunlight shines through the arch, creating a door of light effect that looks like a fantasy movie scene. Scientists confirm the limestone arch is still slowly wearing down and might disappear completely someday. This makes every visit feel rare and special, like watching a short moment of nature's forever beauty. Waitomo Glowworm Caves is one of the most mysterious places on Earth, where light comes not from the sun, but from millions of glowing creatures living in darkness. While riding a boat on still water, visitors see a cave ceiling about 150 feet high, shining like a living night sky. The soft blue light comes from a natural reaction that makes no heat and cannot be copied by any man-made technology. It is not just a cave, but a living star map of Earth, a wonder that can never be copied. Jenolan Caves is the oldest limestone cave system still existing on Earth, hidden inside mountains and formed over 340 million years ago. What makes this place stand out is not only its record-breaking age, but also its enchanting beauty, with countless stalactites, stalagmites, and underground lakes so clear they reflect even the smallest rays of light. Some chambers go deeper than 400 feet and hold underground lakes so clear that light creates shining crystal effects in Sesuai. Genolan Caves is not only a record of Earth's geology, but also a place where art and science meet in a glowing underground world. Urangabili Caves is a limestone cave system formed about 440 million years ago, with chambers reaching up to 50 feet high and colorful stalactites from ancient sediment layers. The cave was formed as rainwater mixed with CO2, slowly dissolved limestone, creating underground streams that stay around 70 degrees F. Inside the cave live microbes adapted to dark and moist conditions, along with bats and rare cave species. Stone tools and charcoal remains show ancient people once used the cave for spiritual rituals. Interestingly, echoing sounds in the cave were reported to affect human awareness during quiet meditation, an unexplained natural effect. Wonderwork Cave is an ancient cave in a dry, semi-desert region, formed in dolomite rock hundreds of millions of years ago and stretches over 450 feet deep underground. The cave has no stalactites, but holds great archaeological value because early humans lived here continuously for hundreds of thousands of years. This discovery changed our understanding of human intelligence and evolution. Although only a small part is excavated, the findings prove our ancestors organized their living space and used fire for survival. Bushan Caves is a limestone cave system formed about 400 million years ago, known for its magical stalactites and stalagmites created by dripping underground water over millions of years. With a length of nearly 2 miles and 6 entrances, this place is stunning, with clear pools rimmed with glowing calcite under the lights. The pathways are rugged and slippery, requiring strong fitness and great caution. Some deep parts of the cave have narrow shapes and poor lighting, which can cause untrained people to get lost or panic. Veryovkina is one of the deepest caves ever accessed, hidden in the Arabica Mountains of western Georgia, where steep terrain demands specialized equipment and extended exploration time. Main shafts descend vertically without rest points, forming natural wells that carry deep echoes, although at times there is complete silence despite movement. During a 2018 expedition, a section was reported with dense mist that did not disperse even when artificial wind was introduced. All known cave-dwelling species inside have pale coloration and show no response to bright light, indicating prolonged adaptation to total darkness. A layer near the cave's lower end has rock surfaces so smooth they feel as if coated in oil, forcing teams to adjust their climbing gear. Some areas remain inaccessible because communication signals vanish completely past a certain threshold and cannot be recovered with standard devices.